Hi
So how
guys.
we doing, guys? Today we have a special podcast for you. We're gonna be arguing about the college football, and we're gonna be talking about how the heck that MLS Cup went. It was just a blowout. So let's get right on into it. Okay, first things first, let's give our reviews of the MLS Cup final. I think it was boring just because it was such a blowout.
Okay.
Okay, dude,
Okay.
I no. I didn't say I didn't enjoy the fact that that Columbus Crew totally won. I just said I think it was boring from just reviewing the game and watching it as a 3-0 win. It was over in the first 2 minutes. No, sorry, first 20 minutes.
It definitely was. So you can see the clock in the background. Okay. So what I'm thinking, it's not boring. It was not boring for me whatsoever. I thought Seattle just wasn't able to finish. If they could have finished, they could have made it a game.
I mean,
Like you said, they came on in the second half. They started to do something about it, but
yeah.
it was pretty much over once they got those first two goals.
Yeah, well, I kind of got bored and I switched to the Florida LSU game because that was actually a good game. That actually came down to the last 30 seconds compared to the MLS final coming down to like nothing. Came down to the first 2 minutes. First 20 minutes, that was about it.
Well,
Columbus had
yeah,
control of that whole game. There was like no ifs, ands, or buts of them losing. It was just, okay, they
pretty
won.
much, yeah.
Like
Just wait for the
literally off the
time
bat,
to.
you were just like, Columbus is going to win this thing. And that's all that happened. You were like,
And then you have people like Aaron who think Seattle was going to win 2-0 the whole
oh
time.
no, I didn't think. I was like, I thought it was going to be a close one because I thought that Seattle would actually finish
Mhm.
their shots in the second half and actually make it a great game in the second half.
Also, they were like previous, well, I guess technically previous champions.
Technically, but Portland.
Yeah, but they have experience, so you'd think they'd be
Yeah,
prepared.
but you also realize Portland's going to be the only team that won the MLS back tournament.
Yeah.
So pretty much Portland's the best out of everybody.
I mean, I guess kind of. I really like the style of that tournament. I think they should do that some more.
Yeah, have a that they would make it a they should make it a preseason tournament, but what
Yeah.
they should do is just did they go into straight eliminations?
I think yeah.
Okay, so then yeah, do that. But to be honest, I think they need to go to something like a Premier League thing with actual playoffs instead of uh the way Premier League does it, where they have actually like a couple leagues and they can bounce teams around to make like competitions actually look really good.
That'd be okay, yeah.
It would mix it up a little bit. It would give
But I
some
do like
fresh.
how they can actually do playoffs. I think
I know,
that's
yeah. No, what I was saying is what you do is you set it like set it up like the Premier League with the relegation, so the multiple
mhm.
leagues. But then you also have like you also have you also have the playoffs at the end for the top couple, like the top people in their things, and then the bottom people have to play in a playoff to see who's actually going to go down.
Yeah.
So it would
Okay.
be two. So all the teams in the bottom playoff will try to win to stay up, and I think that would be cool to see because then they might have like a 4-team tournament down at the bottom, just have
Mhm.
two teams, and whoever wins out of those 4 teams, pretty much those two stay up. But then they can play for who gets the higher spot next year. Maybe they could do that, something like that. Don't
I mean,
know. It would
yeah,
be
I
cool.
know they have different leagues in the US. Like I know Pittsburgh Riverhounds has
Yeah,
they're in a league or
but they're
something.
not like it's not like
Yeah, like
anything together.
they could integrate those leagues together, make
Yeah,
something like that.
and my head's gone. No, I'm kidding. All I have to say though, with with US soccer is it's one of the most rigged systems ever to get into, to even play on like a national team or anything.
Really?
Cause like, okay, so I think it's Philadelphia. I don't know which teams. There's like 2 teams that's you have to pay to even play in the youth academies.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
It's stupid because like and my thing is that then also the scouts go to like academy teams, so like I could be playing on my high school team, but it wouldn't matter to them because or I could go to a D2 or D1 or D3. It doesn't matter unless I'm on an academy team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like
That's
it's kind of like you
you're
taking
wanting
out
to look
all
at
like
you.
all the actual talent, because you realize one of the best players in the world, Messi, was literally noticed right off the bat. So like literally a guy didn't have enough players to play on his team, and and he went over, grabbed Messi. Hey, you want to play? He gets on the field and just destroys the other team. Then again, he was short and had to take growth hormones to stay with everybody. But
Yeah.
guess where he is now? One of the best player. Now, we're not going to get in that argument yet. The best player, we don't know.
Ronaldo, but
the Ronaldo and Messi are two different types of players. They're different types, so you can't tell who's who.
no.
Not the fact that they don't play the same position, it's just they play the same position differently, but as spectacularly. So you can't really judge on who's best, to be honest. So, just my thing. That's why I say I can't tell who's better or not. But let's get into this whole college debacle, this whole college football. Ohio State somehow slipped into the top 4 with only having 5 games.
No, that's okay. That's good.
5 games. Yeah, they win 5 games, and then like I know Coastal Carolina plays teams, but they play 11 games, win 11, and they don't even get in the decisions. They don't even get within the top 10, to be honest. And there's so then if you're telling me that Ohio State is in the top 4, throw USC right in second because they're 5-0 too. So just do that because why not?
Okay, now
Pac-12, throw Pac-12 up there.
Listen. I will tell you why Ohio State deserves it.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay, just because, like your argument, like 5-0, what? Come on, it's by circumstance. Their schedules like that.
But
they weren't
you
able
realize
to play.
that they opted out of playing. So technically,
the Big Ten opted out. It wasn't Ohio State's decision. It wasn't their decision. And then in past weeks, like Michigan and Ohio State, Michigan, they had coronavirus, so they couldn't play.
Yeah, so it's Indiana and Northwestern in the top.
Ohio State's fault.
In the championship.
Ohio State, and your argument is that Coastal Carolina beat like some good teams, okay? But you realize that Ohio State beat Indiana.
Yeah, that's Indiana.
They've won championships in the past. They have Justin Fields, a Heisman, like up for Heisman award.
You also got to realize that in past years, the 1 year they took a loss to Purdue, like really bad, like a 40-point loss. They didn't get deducted for that. No, they stay up in the top 4 because why the not?
Because they can eventually win up to those good teams.
I mean, in the past 4 years,
if it stays how it is, they're going to be able to take Alabama. They're going to be able to take Alabama. They probably aren't going to win that game, but they're going to
see. No. That's going to be over in like the first quarter, buddy, because it's 11-0 team.
I can tell you
5-0 team. No, it's 11-0 team at that, probably an 11-0 team. I'm not going to say they might be 10-1 because they might lose the championship of their thing, but that's probably not going to happen with Alabama because how many points they put up every single time. Alabama's going to smack them around like, hey, you're not in here. Smack.
Oh, my gosh.
And then the only good game out of that top four will be the Notre Dame and Clemson thing. And you realize Notre Dame and Clemson plays 3 times. So
we know.
I would watch.
But listen, that can change. Notre Dame and Clemson, they play each other here.
Yeah.
Clemson
and it would be stupid if Ohio State went over Clemson because they don't deserve that.
Clemson's going to bump down to 4. Now, are you saying that because Clemson would have 2 losses, they should be number 3 or 4?
Yeah, because they played a lot more games. Yeah.
But Ohio State, if they would have played every game on their schedule, they would have, I can assure you, they would have gone at least the same record as Clemson, maybe even better. And if they played every game on their schedule, they'd be in that conversation.
Well, that's because they don't play anybody compared to a lot of other teams.
But when they do play those lower level teams, they went crazy. 59-7.
It's not
blowouts.
Yeah. But
they can go head to head with any one of those top.
But you also got to realize that that when they go versus those good teams, they fall apart. They do because they don't play good teams. They haven't played a
What do you mean?
I
They
mean,
blow
Indiana's
out the
okay, but they're
young
kind of crap this year too.
Indiana. They went up in the first half, then they sat back
Yeah,
against Indiana in
if
the second half and
Northwestern
let them come
smacks them
back. That's
around,
why the score's as close as it was.
that's because they
And,
allowed them to come back into that game. If
and
I
I
let
will
the
show
top
you.
three come back in,
Okay,
they're done. It's over. If they
Ohio
let them come
State
back
plays
in, it's over.
Northwestern this weekend. Ohio State's number 4,
Yeah.
Northwestern's 14. Ohio State is going to crush Northwestern.
How do you know?
It's not going to be that close.
Oh, it's gonna be close.
Indiana's better than Northwestern.
How do you know? They haven't played each other.
Indiana is so much better than Northwestern, just if you watch how they play and everything.
Yeah, I could have told you that with.
Like Ohio State, they're gonna win. Ohio State's gonna beat Northwestern.
They're not even
I'm
going to have
pretty
a
sure
coach.
everyone on this planet except for you knows that, and the Northwestern fans.
I don't think. I think Northwestern's going to give them a run for the money just because that they're 6-1 and they lost one game doesn't mean that they're going to go and take them on. See, that's also the thing is that I don't think Ohio State can compete sometimes, because I think that if they play a couple of teams, they're going to go down. Ohio State is not as good as they should.
That's entirely false and inaccurate information.
Well then, how about just put all the undefeated teams up in the top 4 spots, and then I might agree with you.
Just then put it up there. Let's see it.
So let's take out
because
Clemson. Clemson doesn't deserve to be in there now because they're not undefeated. Take them out.
Okay,
put Coastal Carolina up there. There we go.
Okay.
Now we put now we're gonna put Cincinnati above Ohio State because they're 8-0, and then let's put Ohio State right there, and then put USC.
Now let me tell you how that's gonna go. Alabama is going to whoop Cincinnati's butt. Notre Dame is going to whoop Coastal Carolina's butt. There's going to be no competition whatsoever. It's going to be Alabama and Notre Dame, and then who knows who's going to win that game. It's not going to be close. The ratings aren't going to be good. That's why they do the ranking.
I would actually watch it because Coastal Carolina and Cincinnati's actually in it.
One loss, they're good enough to be in that top 3 because it's going to be a good game. They're going to be able to compete.
Okay.
Coastal Carolina
then let's switch
team.
Cincinnati
That's why they're rated. That's why they're ranked. But they're not good enough to take on number 2 Notre Dame.
Whoa.
Cincinnati, they're 8-0. Good for them. They're what, number 8? But they're not good enough. They're not rated high enough. They're not. That's why they're not rated number 4, number 5, because they're not ready to take on Alabama. In a couple years, maybe they will, but not now. Not this year.
You realize these smaller teams would just throw everything at these teams, and it would actually become a good game. With Ohio State knows it's going to go and lose that game right away because they're not going to be able to compete versus Alabama. It's not going to happen.
Nope.
11-0 Alabama versus 5-0 Ohio State.
Make no mistake.
It's Alabama all the way.
And Ohio State will be a dogfight to the end. Alabama, I think, will probably come out on top. Ohio State's going to make it.
Man, if
no mistake about
beats Ohio State, my point is proved.
There is no chance.
So proved.
There is no chance.
How do you know?
Unless Ohio State decides that they don't want to play, there is no chance that.
They couldn't. They wouldn't really play. They could literally probably lose all their games and still probably get in the top 4 somehow. That's Ohio State for you.
If they lose all the other games, then don't rank them. Same as Penn State. They were ranked. Ohio State beat them. Other teams beat them. They went out.
Okay, so if we're going off of that. Then Alabama should not be first. Alabama should be third. You have Notre Dame, Clemson, Alabama, and then that because you're going on who they played.
I am not going on who they played. I'm going on who I think the best team is.
Who I think the best team is? Oh no, I don't think Ohio State's the best team.
If I would rank it, right now,
this year.
If I would rank it right now.
Yeah.
I would probably go Notre Dame 1, Notre Dame 1, Clemson 2, Alabama 3, Ohio State 4. That's how I would do it.
I would probably put Ohio State in the top 4.
No, what I would do is I'd probably put Coastal Carolina at 6, Cincinnati at 5, and then put Florida 7, all those other things. But like we were talking about before, this could all be solved by a 16-team playoff.
Yeah, format. We all know that because we all know the 4 top teams are always going to get pretty much free ticket, and there's 2 teams that are always 3 teams that are probably going to get a free ticket is LSU, Clemson, Alabama, and
Okay.
pretty much
No, LSU
because
sucks this
unless
year.
I didn't say that they get a free ticket now because they are bad right now. But I'm saying when they actually do good and they actually lose versus a bad team, they're still going to get a ticket in because they're LSU. Clemson, they're going to get a ticket in because they're Clemson. Alabama, if they win like the and lose versus the thing, Alabama, so throw them up in there. Those are always probably the guaranteed three. If even if they lose a 40-0 to a really bad team like Purdue
No,
or
no,
like
no.
Nebraska, it doesn't really matter.
It's
They're gonna
like you
get
see with
thrown into
every
there.
team. They get a bad loss, they're going to be bumped down. That
No,
hasn't
that,
happened to those top teams.
yeah,
That's why they're not going to
it
get bumped
hasn't even.
down.
It's happened to
That's why
Ohio
they're
State
not.
in the
That's why
past
they're going to
years.
stay up there.
Ohio
They're going to
State.
stay top 3, top
Uh-huh.
4, because they're not going to lose a game like that. And I get your point. I get you're saying they haven't played any good teams. That's why the 16-team format will work, because it will put every team to the test against the top ranked teams
I
to
think Iowa
see
could even give Ohio State a run for their money.
if every team has like what it takes to win it. You have to be able to go through that grueling tournament,
To
the
be honest, I
16,
think
and they can
Iowa
make it like a
would have
March
a better
Madness
chance right now.
for basketball NCAA, and that would be good. People would be loving it. You get a good game every game.
Yeah, because then
Have a
maybe
good
then
game.
maybe those top teams would actually show the weaknesses that they really are that not as good as
Maybe,
they
but
really are.
from my point of view, Ohio State has not shown enough weaknesses
See, that's the
to be
problem. They
number
haven't even
like
had
5
enough
or
chances
like
to show the weaknesses. That's the
because there
problem.
aren't.
How do
And
you
they
know?
haven't
Because
shown
it's
through these
5
5
games till
games.
11.
The other teams play 10 games. What are they going to show in their next 5 games against some of these same teams? Nothing. It's going to be the same same thing. They're going to blow out the opponents. They're going to
Yeah.
stay
And
in
then if Ohio
their
State doesn't
form,
blow out
and
Northwestern, I'm
it would
not
be
going to
the
agree with
same
you then.
thing. It'd be the same thing if Big Ten played a whole season.
Yeah, so Iowa would probably
And I
make it
think
a
you know
give
that.
a
Ohio State would be 4. And I think you know that. You're
Yeah,
just in
but that's in
denial.
a full season. If they only have 5 games, I don't want them in there because they haven't proved themselves to be worthy of it yet.
No, it's by circumstance this year.
Yes,
They
I
proved
know. It's
themselves
by circumstance. But the
they
problem
played
is
against
if you
bad teams.
opt out of your
They've been
thing,
able to
you
go
shouldn't even
crazy
be in
against them.
talks. And I think
They didn't opt out. It was the Big Ten, not them. They didn't
if the
decide.
Big Ten opts out, they don't get. If the Big Ten opts out, they should opt. If they opt out, and hear me out, they opted out. So that doesn't mean they should even be in talks for this because they opted out. Now you eliminate Big Ten, you eliminate the Big 12, Pac-12 actually, because they opted out too. So technically, if you're not looking at Pac-12 for even the top, 15, I believe, because I believe USC right now is in like 15th and 5-0. You should not put Ohio State up and fourth because they're 5-0 because they're in the Big 10. I don't care. Pac-12. If you're in Pac-12 and you're in Big 10 and you play the same amount of games and you have 2 teams that are leading at both and at both different ends of the spectrum, I think that's totally stupid.
Give me a break. You got to be kidding me right now. Seriously.
Yeah, I'm not kidding you.
You're not kidding me right now.
No, because I bet you USC would actually beat Ohio State.
Because just like everyone else, what's going on right now. You know why they decided to opt out. And college football knew. They probably had this in place. They probably knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, well,
they probably knew from the beginning that Ohio State, they know Ohio State was going to be good.
Yeah, but my problem
is they were
going to
be able to get
out
top.
of a season, you don't even get talks. Because my thing is, if you opt out of a season, you opt out of your chance into the championship. You opt out of your plans into the playoffs. Just because you played less games and won all of them doesn't mean you get automatic, oh yeah, that team goes right in there.
Nope.
Because if they played more games, maybe they could show that they're actually that good. That's my thing. Is that if you play less games than another team, you shouldn't be allowed in there because they're 5-0. And I know they're 5-0. I don't care if they're undefeated, and if they lose the next game, then that's going to prove that they shouldn't be in the top 4. But
they're not going to lose. They're not going to lose that game.
How do you know?
They're not going to. You've seen them play.
Yeah, they're boring.
Why are you denying it? You've seen them play. You've seen them play. You've seen Northwestern play. You know Ohio State has what it takes. You've seen them play Indiana. You know they can do it.
Yeah, but that's
Indiana. You know they're going to do it.
that's Ohio State side. I've only seen Northwestern play their side and our side, and it really doesn't matter.
You know.
So
So then why are you arguing it? You know that they're good enough.
good enough to do what? First, hold on. What are we talking about? Good
Good
enough
enough
to
to
beat
beat
the champ?
Northwestern.
Hold
They're
on,
good
hold on.
enough
Beat
to stay with
Northwestern. Okay, that's
Alabama.
beating Northwestern. That's not getting into the playoffs. That's beating Northwestern.
And
I didn't
going
say
back to your previous point, they came back. So those teams like Penn State, if they were good enough, Ohio State, if they were good enough, and Indiana,
I would still
they
not
came
want
back
any of them.
so they could have them be in the playoffs.
I still wouldn't
If
want
Penn
them in the
State
playoffs
right
because that
now
would
we're
be
5-0,
that would
if
be
Penn State
idiotic.
right now we're 5-0, and they beat Ohio State,
Who?
they beat
Northwestern?
Indiana.
Oh, Indiana.
If Penn
Indiana
State,
beat it. I wouldn't even want Indiana in it because I don't think they deserve to be in it.
no, if Penn State beat Ohio State, beat
Yeah.
Indiana, and beat
Uh-huh.
all the other teams they played against, and they're
Yeah.
like what 5-6-7-0, something
Yeah.
like that. However many games they played, would you let them in?
No, I
I
don't
would.
care. I'm a Penn
I would.
State fan. I wouldn't let them in because they're playing 11-0 team.
I would.
I wouldn't. I
If
wouldn't.
they're good enough, they should be in. That's the
If
whole
they're good
point of the
enough.
college football playoffs.
Yeah.
That's the whole
Then
point of it.
well then why put Ohio State in
To
it?
get
If
the
you're good
best
enough,
teams in it.
so
Ohio State's good enough, and that's been deemed by so many people on the college board, on
yeah,
the
the
college
college board. Oh, they're idiots.
football board.
I think every
They've
team knows
deemed
they're
it.
idiots at this point.
They knew.
How do they know? I swear they don't they don't watch football at all sometimes because it's this.
Listen. You watch this game this weekend, Ohio State Northwestern. You watch it, you see Ohio State win. You let me know how you think after that.
Yeah,
And
it's the
then
Big Ten. I
when they
still
go,
don't
when
think
Ohio
Big Ten
State goes
could.
in, listen. Let me talk.
This year, I think Big Ten couldn't even beat anybody in the Big.
Okay, when Ohio State goes into the playoffs, they play Alabama,
and they
and
lose
they
to
show
them.
you. They show you that they probably will. They might lose to them. Don't get me wrong. They might lose to them.
I have a feeling that final score is going to be about like 42-3 Alabama.
QB Justin Fields, the Heisman candidate, Justin Fields, is the reason why they're in that spot mainly.
I still think
show you if they play Alabama,
they lose to them 42-0. That just proves my point. They shouldn't be in the top 4.
And they might play Notre Dame. They could play Notre Dame. Play Alabama.
Yeah, okay.
And
if they play Notre Dame, they're just out of it. It's done. It's done.
I think they have a chance to win it. I think they really do. They have a very good shot
versus Notre Dame. Oh, Notre Dame's so much better than
I don't get the hype surrounding Notre Dame. I get they're a good team. I think they play Clemson this weekend. I think Clemson wins. That's me personally. I think Clemson moves to 2. Notre Dame goes down to 3. I think Ohio State stays where they are. Alabama and Ohio State play. I think Ohio State goes against Alabama. I think Ohio State
have you not seen
Alabama. I think
Notre
they go
Dame
up,
play?
and I think they show them what they're made of, and they could very well win that game right there against Alabama. I don't think it will happen, but they could.
Have you not seen them play?
I have.
That is a freaking.
And have you seen the first time Notre Dame and Clemson played? Clemson almost had Notre Dame, and the only reason Clemson lost that game, you know why? They didn't have their QB. Their most likely Heisman Trophy winner, Trevor Lawrence, who most likely will be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft this upcoming year, to none other than the New York Jets. That's a story for another day, but
I don't think Clemson's gonna be able to beat them. And to be honest, if I was purposely Notre Dame, I would purposely throw the championship just so that they could stay 2-3 and play a third time and just win that to go to the college playoffs. To be honest, or what they could do is if they're even smarter, they just win versus Clemson. They don't have to play 3 times versus them, and then just win versus Clemson, win versus Ohio State, and then pretty much probably either. Then again, they would probably play 3 times again because. But then again, I think Alabama could beat them.
Okay, but here's what I'm thinking: if Notre Dame beats Clemson this weekend, which they could, I think Clemson will win. But if Notre Dame wins, let's just say they win.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, I think, should move up to number 1. Alabama 2. Clemson, I would keep Clemson there because I think Clemson is better than Ohio State. I would keep Clemson at 3. If I'm just thinking how they would, but I would put Clemson at 2 if it were me. But I think they'll put Clemson at 3, and then I think they'll keep Ohio State where they are. I think that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, because they want to see Ohio State just get killed. There's
I
no
no, I think they have a very good chance.
no. Ohio
And when
State
they
versus
play
any of
Notre
the
Dame
top
in
three.
that
They're
scenario,
out of the question for who getting even
I
into
think
the
Ohio
championship.
State will lose,
The
but it's going to
first
be
game,
pretty
the
close.
first game they're going to lose because they're not going to have as much experience of any of the top 3 teams. They only have 5 games, and
You
I know
want to
it's
talk about
no, no,
experience?
no, 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 no,
Are
no.
you
I know
kidding
it's
me? Are you
circumstance,
kidding me?
but
You
they.
want to talk about experience? Notre Dame hasn't been in that long. They haven't been in the playoffs the past years. Ohio State has been in that playoffs the past so many years. Don't even go there.
I'm not talking about playoff experience. I'm talking about game experience this year, buddy. To be
Experience
honest, if you
means
have a 5-0
nothing when
team
you're
again,
talking about that. They have their practice experience. They know how to play a game. They've
yeah,
done it already. They know how to play. That
yeah.
means
But
nothing.
are you gonna
It's
last
the
versus a
playoff experience that
11-0
matters.
team? Tell me, would you last versus an 11-0 team if you only played 5 games? Tell
Yes.
me if. Why would you last the whole game with
To
them?
be
Because
honest, they have rest to do it. They've rested their bodies. They'll be prepared in practice. They'll have more time to be prepared for that scenario in which it happens.
and they get run all over. I'm gonna just.
I do not think they will.
To be honest, I would rather have a team 11-0 and 11-0 go up against each other than a 5-0 and 11-0 because I already know that 11-0 or 10-0
My
team is
point
going to
is,
crush
okay,
that 5-0.
it doesn't matter about records for me. It matters
Amount of
about the
games,
better
yes.
team.
Amount of
Records
games
are okay.
matters.
No, I mean the amount of games. That's what I mean. Records matter. The amount of games doesn't matter.
Yeah, they
If you have
do.
a good record, if you're a good team,
Okay, so if you
that's
were a
how you
1-0
should be.
team, hold on, no. If you're a 1-0 team going up against an 11-0 team, who do you think's winning that?
Depends on who it is.
1-0 team. So this team has played one game. They go into the playoffs. They play an 11-0 team. You're telling me that 1-0 team could probably take the 11-0 team to.
Well, we're not even going to be able to talk about that because that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
There's never going to be able to have a team that plays only one game a season.
Okay.
Come
so
on.
a 2-0 team, a 3-0 team.
That's never going to happen.
A 3-0 team. No, never going to happen. A 5-0 team.
5-0. Right now. This is probably the only time it'll ever happen.
A 5-0 team goes up against an 11-0 team and just gets smacked around like there's no tomorrow.
Happen. That will not happen.
Oh no, sorry. It's probably gonna be a 6-0 team. Sorry, if they get crushed, and then they become a 5-1 team. We don't know yet because they haven't played the championship yet, so you can't say. So it could be technically that they go in as a 5-1 team. Then then that would mean that they would have to drop out of the top 4. So, and then that would mean that who would go up into their spot? Wouldn't Cincinnati have to go up in their spot because they're an 8-0 team?
No.
Yeah, because they're the only undefeated team under that. So why wouldn't they go up into that?
It doesn't matter.
Okay,
because
so it doesn't matter if a team wins all their games. No, it doesn't matter if they play every.
Because by that logic, you should say Clemson shouldn't be in there. Cincinnati should be in there. Coastal Carolina. We've already been around this tree before.
No,
that's just a bad college playoff right there.
Yeah, but then it would be fun because you get to see different teams. You get to see different teams.
I appreciate that the same team can be able. I respect those teams for being able.
You know why they're able? Because they get paid a buco amount of bucks from the college playoff, and it just cycles into their system, and that's all that happens. It just keeps going and going.
They can recruit. It's
and
all
then
about
it's boring.
The recruiting. You get some good people from recruiting, and you get to work your.
Yeah, but then it's just kind of
Nick Saban's the best coach in college football. Because
then you don't get.
Alabama's been there for so many years.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think that's crap because pretty much it's just a ruthless cycle of just those 4 teams being in the top 4 and just those teams probably winning it for the next like however many years they have this crap. To the point where it's just gonna get boring, and then they're gonna actually have to go. You know what? Maybe this year we should have moved to a bigger thing because maybe some of these other teams like Cincinnati or even like
about the 16-team playoff.
Yeah, but that's also the point of why Ohio State shouldn't be in the top 4.
That makes no sense.
Well, technically it does.
Just because they've been there before doesn't mean they shouldn't be there today. Because they're 5-0, they've won every game, and they've been there before.
Yeah, well, Iowa State has an even better chance.
They've done it.
They've done it.
Put them in. Let's put Cincinnati in. a team who we know is going to get smacked around by Alabama, Notre Dame, or Clemson.
At least you would actually know the
get a
team's
fair
going to get
shot.
smacked around. I mean, technically, any team right now would get smacked around by Alabama, Notre Dame, or Clemson. There's really no team that could go in there.
Nope.
No, I hate to say it, but there's no team that could go in there. Ohio State's not going to.
Ohio State's going to be able to go in there.
Ohio State can't compete versus the top four teams. They're not that good.
They can and they will show you it.
If they show me that they can beat Alabama, that's the only way I'll take it. If they beat Alabama, I'll consider them actually okay.
All I gotta say is let's just wait and see what happens.
Because if they beat actual Alabama, but then again, we're talking about hypotheticals here. If they actually win the championship, so we're typing hypotheticals. Let's just say Northwestern wins. Well, then that whole debacle's done, and Ohio State sucks. So,
but Northwestern won't win. Let's say Northwestern wins. Who would you put in there?
Who I put in there? I would probably put Texas A&M in there, actually, technically, because they're pretty good. I mean, they lost to Alabama, but still.
It would be between Florida and Texas A&M. I think probably Texas A&M, like you said, they only lost to Alabama.
Yeah. So why do you have Ohio State in there?
Ohio State's better than Texas A&M. They can go toe-to-toe with Alabama. They can go up against any of the top 3 teams and give a good fight. It'll be a good game. And they could even come out victorious. Texas A&M showed that they can't do that against Alabama, who's number 1. Ohio State, I think they can do it.
I think it's just stupid because even though they, and I know you're going to use the argument they opted out for the season, I still think 5 games versus 10 games or 11 games just isn't enough to compete versus that team. Unless you're like a Notre Dame team where you could probably just have 5 games and just go into a Clemson game and beat them. I shouldn't be bait the pants out of them, but they beat them. So
listen, I just looked up the score from the Alabama and Texas A&M game.
Yeah.
You know, Alabama's number 1 for a reason. They've showed that they can beat all these good teams.
Yeah.
They beat number 5, Texas A&M. They beat them 52-24.
Yeah, who else had they played?
They beat number 9 Georgia 41-24.
Keep going.
They're going to be playing Florida. They've crushed every other team. They beat LSU, who's like we said not very good. They beat Auburn. They beat Kentucky, Mississippi State, Tennessee.
Man, that's a pretty good record because they actually played some good teams. Now, let's look at the Ohio State record. Penn State, Nebraska, Michigan State, Indiana. And I know Indiana's
Indiana's good.
Indiana's They're not there yet.
That's why
they're almost there. They're on the brink of being epic.
Yeah.
They haven't found it yet.
Yes.
They haven't found it. So there's 4 teams that are They play, and the 5th team, I believe, was Michigan State. Or did I already?
If you could rank Ohio State,
Nebraska,
where would you rank them?
Penn State,
where would you
Rutgers.
Rank them?
Sorry, Rutgers. To be honest, if I were to rank Ohio State, they would be right now probably ranked around 10th. Just because of the teams they have played.
Georgia's ahead of them. Cincinnati's ahead of them. Florida's ahead of them. Texas A&M's ahead of them. Are you kidding me?
I mean, to be honest, I would change it a little around because there's a few teams that I do have to say that do have to get moved around a little bit because, to be honest, I think Texas A&M should be in the top 4 because and I know they only lost to the number 1 seed in the world. It's not like they lost to
but they would play him again.
Yeah, they would play him again. Maybe they could surprise you. You don't know.
They will not.
They expect
the way they played. And of course, they got the rebound. They've done good the rest of the season. Maybe they will, but I don't think they will. Ohio State has the better chance.
How?
That's where I'm going to rest my argument.
Explain to me how.
Argument at that.
Hold on. Okay, so you're going to say that. Here's where I'm going to rest my argument at. So the Big Ten has probably one of the worst records out of all the conferences now. They're probably the second worst under, I believe, Sun Belt, or no, it's not Sun Belt. It's somebody else is worse. And I don't know, I can't remember who it is. Somebody else is really worse. And I think it's Pac-12. And and they pretty much played all losing teams except for one, Indiana. And the Indiana game actually was closer than the rest of them, but they are only in the top 12. They haven't played Georgia. They haven't played Texas A&M. They haven't played Florida. They haven't played any of the teams below them. They haven't played Cincinnati. Now, I know you're going to say Cincinnati only played 8 games and they played versus sucky teams, but hey, they're rated above Indiana. So you can't really say anything about that. So that means that I think Ohio State should not be ranked within the top 10 because they haven't played anybody to get them there. They haven't played a team to get them there. Alabama has played teams to get them into number 1. Notre Dame has played Clemson, beat them. They've played a couple other good teams. They've played to get into number 2. Clemson, same. They played to get into that spot. I believe that Florida, Texas A&M have played teams to get in that spot. Now, I'm not saying that Cincinnati or Coastal Carolina played anybody to get up there. I think since Coastal Carolina has a great spot, I think that they could stay there. They could go down. It doesn't really matter. They're 11-0, but they haven't really played a higher than 10 team, just like Ohio State.
13. They played BYU 13.
Yeah, they played 13. They became 13 because they beat BYU. Maybe if they play a top 10 team, they get up into top 10 because they beat them. But that's my argument, is saying, hey, Ohio State hasn't played any of these good teams like the top teams. Like Texas A&M, I think if Texas A&M played Ohio State, I think Ohio State would totally not know what to do. Just because I think Texas A&M could get them a run for their money. Now, if they prove me wrong and Ohio State wins, then they are. But until I see that proof, I cannot say vindictively that Ohio State deserves to be in that top 4, let alone the top 6, because of the way they played. So, and nothing against the teams that they have played, but I have to agree that Michigan State's not that good. And I know they played and beat Northwestern, but that was because they probably played their heart out in that game and just threw it all at them. To be honest, they played two games and they threw all their at them in the top 10. They're probably better playing all, but I can't say anything because Michigan State is only 2 and I believe 5. I believe Penn State is 3 and 5. I believe Rutgers is about like 2 and 6. I could be wrong in that. Don't quote me. It's like 2, 3. They might be 3 and 5, 2, then 2. Nebraska's around the same then, and they all have losing records except for Indiana. So I can't really say that Ohio State deserves to be in there because they haven't played a team with a winning schedule yet. Like a team with enough of a winning schedule to prove that they deserve to be in that. Because at least Ohio State played Texas A&M. They played Georgia. No, sorry, Alabama has. So I can't say that Ohio State deserves to be with those teams just because of that. But we'll leave it here because.
Well, you're wrong, but agree
because
to disagree, and we'll see what happens this weekend. And
and if Ohio State loses, then I'm just going to not speak. We're not going to speak about it, and we're just going to say that I was right. We're just going to move on. So.
I'll admit.
This is how we'll do it. This is how we'll do it. We'll do it like this.
Listen,
if
that happens, I'll admit I was wrong. I'll admit it. If that happens, which it won't, but if it happens, I promise you I will.
Big if it won't. That's a big thing that you're predicting that they won't. Well, I'll leave it here. We will not talk about this for a while until Ohio State proves themselves, because I don't think they have yet. They haven't played a team to prove themselves enough yet. And I mean, even if Indiana was 5-0, I still think Indiana hasn't proved themselves either. So we will leave that here. Hope you all having a good time at home, having a great time holiday season. Make sure that subscribe button's white, not red. Also, leave a comment down below of some questions you have for us. Maybe we'll answer them in another podcast. Who knows? So please stay mysterious, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.